General Mkhwanazi.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you profile, number one, you know what is concerning here? Did you profile Jermaine Prim? That is the first thing I want to ask you. Secondly, I'm thinking now if it's coincidence that all three of these people, CAT Matlala, Bester, and Jermaine, are all allegedly in CMAX. So the only way that Jermaine can listen to conversations of CAT Matlala is if he's on a cell phone. How do you explain Mr. Matlala then having a cell phone in CMAX? That's my first concern. My second concern is that Tabu Bester is also in that same block in CMAX. We've now received correspondence from Bester, from Jermaine Prim, and we've heard from Mr. Matlala. I am worried. I have background, sure, without compromising myself for this. I think I'm going to leave it at they are in CMAX. Why do they have access to cell phones? I'm going to leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I'm not sure if I can maybe just make some comment, and maybe as a follow-up to what Honorable James is raising. I'm trying to find the actual paragraph here, but in this statement of this gentleman, this person alleges that CAT Matlala has freedom inside the CMAX. He is very close with the head of the facility. That's why he can get around and can get things done with ease. So it then explains that, and he says he was sharing a cell block with the two of them. They were together. Obviously, we found the cell phone thanks to the Commission of Correctional Services that dispatched in a suspicion after the address that something might be happening in that cell. So the commissioner phoned me to send people to go, he said he sent people to go to the cell and they found the phone. And luckily that phone has helped us with a lot of these things we investigated. How did the phone get to CAT inside the cell? It's again a question mark, but what this man is saying, the relationship that CAT has with the head of the center and some officials within that center, it's clear that CAT can get whatever he likes inside that place. I'm not going to explain part of the reasons why there was a motivation for him to move away from there, but that's part of the problems that has been experienced, which the head of correctional service, the commission, also identified. Thank you.
Thank you. General, just as a matter of information, perhaps, well, you would know. You know that Radovan Krecha was also there at Kgosi Maphuru. In fact, he may still have been there when the Honorable Committee had a sitting there. You know that or knew that? Radovan Krecha was also at Kgosi Maphuru.
No, I was not involved in Krecha. I know he was in custody, but I never pay attention until I get to know about the KZN leg of it.
I'm saying this because perhaps the author of the letter was mistaken, because the name of Miss Natasha, I think the spelling is Otrebski. Trepsky. She is Gretchen's attorney. And he was also there, and that paragraph mentions her legal visit. Also claiming to be his attorney, the author, Jermaine's attorney.
Yeah, well, I think there's quite a lot of lawyers that are representing dodgy characters in our country. You just have to go in the system and check who is the lawyers ever appeared on behalf of both CAT, whether it's a Jermaine guy, whether is it Thabo Bester, whether is I know of a controversial lawyer that has also been part of the AKA murder in KZN, which are controversial figures. But I'm not a legal person to say much about it. It's just an interesting thing to notice as a police.
So we went back to paragraph 1. It said on the 9th or the 10th of September, there was a conference call between Nhlanhla Batoy, Senzo Mkhunu, Lawrence Odes, Vusi Matlala's advocate, and SAPS General, which he didn't name. Odes added victim Kwashu to the call. The reason for Odes adding Kwashu was for Kwashu to facilitate what was being discussed. The plan and reason for the call was to get Vusi Matlala to sign an affidavit that states he doesn't know Senzo Mkhunu. Apparently, Kwashu told him to first show good faith by granting Vusi bail. He then refused to take any part in it unless they signed or they granted Vusi bail. First, Vusi was quite angry that Kwashu refused to facilitate this. Vusi then explained to me that Odes and Nhlanhla are good friends and that Nhlanhla and Senzo Mkhunu are also very close. That is why Nhlanhla Batoy is trying to help Senzo Mkhunu. Vusi also said that Andrea Johnson was also part of the discussion and that she's on board. I also know that there were people from IDEC at the prison to see Vusi on more than one occasion. He explained to me that the purpose of the visit was for him to help them discredit General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. He apparently said he was at Mkhwanazi's apartment in Umhlanga, and it's called the Pearls of, not sure what pearls of what. So General, that you say is also then, and it's something I wanted to come to, which is a matter that you also didn't tell us in your affidavit or in your oral evidence. Just raise this. It was mentioned to us for the first time. The allegation of advance. Yeah. This was stated in Mr. Matlala's affidavit at paragraph 126. Meeting with General Mkhwanazi. I met Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi at the Pearls. Is that the Pearls he's referring to in this handwritten letter?
Yeah, well, this is, I believe, what this gentleman had was told by CAT Matlala,
Yes.
even before the ad hoc committee went to hear from CAT Matlala himself.
Yeah.
That's why I have no reason to doubt some of the content that he wrote here.
So Matlala said, I met Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi at Pearls of Umhlanga on 15 April 2025. Minister Cele had arranged for me to meet him. This was the result of my interaction with Minister Cele regarding issues with my SAPS contract. Minister Cele advised me that he knew Lieutenant General Mkhua, but the person who was very close to her was Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. Before we proceeded to the meeting, I contacted Lieutenant General Sinona, who is also the head of the Hawks in KZN, as I was not comfortable to meet Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi alone. I first ran this by Minister Nkele, and he okayed it with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. The meeting was scheduled at the Pearls, and upon arrival, we met him outside. He told us to follow him went up in an elevator to what I assumed was his apartment because he offered us drinks that were in the fridge. During the meeting, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi told me that he had heard I had problems with my contract, but he also has problems which he needed to assist him with. He acknowledged that I had been complaining a lot about my contract and saying that they weren't paying on time and not sending enough purchase orders. He then said, to help my contract flow, I needed to cooperate because he was very close to Lieutenant General Nkua, the head of human resources who oversaw my contract. Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi essentially stated that Lieutenant General Nkua is a stumbling block, quote unquote, and is collaborating with the previous service provider, Metropolitan. He even claimed that she had purchased properties, converted them into bed and breakfast, and used money from Metropolitan, suggesting corruption because her salary could not cover such purchases. Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi provided me with the address of her latest purchase, which was a house in Pretoria East. The message I got was clear. If I wanted my contract to proceed smoothly, I would need to, quote, work with her and give her money, unquote, or my contract would be terminated. He was indicating that police officers, even generals, could afford these things because they collaborated with service providers like myself. Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi indicated to me that he knew I owned a property in Midstream Estate. He further indicated that he had a problem with a person in the same estate and asked whether I knew a person by the name of Ishmael Nangi. I informed him that I knew this person, but I was close to him, but I knew my son and his son attended the same school and my wife and his wife knew each other. I informed him I would request my wife to set up a meeting with him. So the reason why I raise this is also, that's also one of the issues which you didn't raise before us when you first appeared, either in your affidavit or in your oral evidence. And so the question is, why didn't you do so? Do you dispute that such a meeting took place? We know from the evidence we heard, Mr. Matlala's evidence at Kgosi Maputo about this, and also General Senona's role in this. So this is also an opportunity for you to explain why you hadn't mentioned it in the first place, and what is your version of what happened there.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. When I appeared before this ad hoc committee, I was presenting in the main the incidents that are prohibiting the police from executing their duties, where we believe the minister has enabled these people to block the police stations. And of course, not the minister doing the bad things, but the people that are doing the bad things, police officers, and some of them within the entire value chain of justice system officials that are participating on this matter. The meeting of CAT Matlala, we did not see it as a need to present it because it was a meeting that was helping the investigation to uncover some truth about that which the team in Gauteng was investigating. So CAT Matlala, when he met with me in that meeting, he was afraid of the people that he was talking about. And he made it clear that what he's sharing with me in a straight language, you'll refer to as snitching to people. So he was giving out information that would have compromised his safety. So he was giving out information that if it were to come out, maybe his life and his family would be at risk. What I like, that's why we did not communicate. But what became evident to that is that the person who facilitated the meeting, Jairus Nona, when he appeared before Matlanga Commission, he was afraid to name those names. And when CAT appeared before this commission and introduced that meeting, I was not in the country. When I became aware of it, I then sent a WhatsApp message. I actually tried to phone Jairus Nona he didn't answer the phone. When I send him a message to outline what the meeting is about, the same message that after sending to Snona, I shared with yourself, Senior Counsel, on the
Yes, we'll ask for that, if it's possible, we'll ask for that, those WhatsApp messages to be flighted. But continue in the meantime.
Perhaps what I can say then, Chair, is to, I've indicated why didn't I introduce that meeting, that I did not see the need of that meeting to be discussed before
Honorable members, Chair. Yeah, and the letter from Sanona's attorney. So you can refer to it, General. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Chair, I still feel that CAT Matlala was used by people to try and paint a picture that as a person who looks like a bad person, but he also met with me. And as a result, people will start questioning my credibility. I did not disclose the meeting, and I'm glad that he is the one that introduced the meeting, because the people he spoke about are subject to the investigation by the GCI Ops in Gauteng. And I did not want to disclose it because I had made a commitment that I will not disclose any meeting that he is giving me as an informer. So that was the reason. But he introduced the meeting.
You didn't, this meeting, was Lieutenant General Khumalo aware of this meeting, or that the meeting was going to take place? Or did you already discuss with him as the investigating officer that this meeting would take place?
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Perhaps the members must give me time to listen to this story, because I don't want you to get it halfway. How does it happen that I get to meet CAT Matlala right at the beginning? And when the members are listening to this, you're going to tally with a sergeant that was sitting on this chair from Mpumalanga that was brought by Mr. James to this house to come and open a case in Cape Town, that allegations of kidnapping and torture.
Mr. Adams.
Oh. And I'm looking at you, Honorable James, but I'm saying the name again. I don't know. My apologies. It's the second time I'm doing this. I'll take the fine, ma'am. Sorry about that. Yeah, Honorable Adams, the sergeant that came here and said things. So I'm going to link all these things together so that you have a clear picture of everything. I work in KwaZulu-Natal as the head of the police in the province. I report to the National Commissioner. I'm assisted by the colleagues from the national units. One of the colleagues responsible for the national unit is Gerald Snona. Gerald Snona is responsible to DPCI. DPCI does not report to me. They are assisting KZN, but they have their own specific responsibilities. And another one that assisted me back then, I'm sad that Mr. Adams is not here today, because I wanted to talk to him. I'm sure he's watching the TV. Perhaps must look at the screen. The one person that assisted me is Major General Chika. Major General Chika was the head of crime intelligence in KwaZulu-Natal during the time of riots. He was the one that Honorable James should be blaming for the failure, if any. Adams to be blaming for the failures of intelligence, if any, it is General Chika, because he was the head of crime intelligence in KZN. So I have crime intelligence, which is a national entity. I have DPCI, which is a national entity, and then myself in the middle. So from time to time, we're going to be communicating with colleagues. As when Chika is going on retirement, I'm aware, I'm on his farewell, and I'm talking to the division to make sure that they fill up that post. The post that has since been vacant from that time to date has not been filled. But the National Commission told me that they are finalizing the process to get that post filled. That is 12 months down the line. We still don't have a head of intelligence. General Snona is a person who comes from Gauteng. He was appointed in KZN. So I interact with General Snona. But I'd already heard of a name of General Snona even before coming to KZN. There's one former warrant officer, Malinga, who used to work at Organized Crime Pretoria, who still today is undergoing court because of issues that he and General Sinona were involved with while they were working in Pretoria. I don't want to get into the details of that, but there's a case that is dragging forever that does not end. So that's how I got to know, because I knew Malinga, and Malinga will tell me about General Sinona at the time. So that's how I got to know about Sinona even before meeting him. But fast forward, I'm in KZN, General Sinona is the head of DPCI in KZN. I will not remember, Honorable Chair and members, the exact date, but it will be 2 or 3 years back. General Sinona approaches me, and one of the conversations we're having, he says to me, hey, I'm thinking of resigning from the police. And I ask him, when you want to resign from the police, where do you want to go? He says, no, I'm going to join a security company of my friend. And this friend of mine is from Mamelodi. He's got a very big security company, and it's Matlala that is in charge. And I said, no, well, I stayed in Pretoria. I've never paid attention of the security companies like that one. And he says, no, this guy is big. There's a lot of police officers that are working for his security company and so forth. He has just got a contract in Lesotho. So he wants me to go and run his project in Lesotho. So this is Nona talking to me. So I then discouraged him from resigning. I said, but you are left with 2 years before you go on retirement. If this is your friend, why don't you retire after 2 years? And thereafter, you then go and work for him. Remember, I don't know who this Matlala person is. And then he took that advice, and he said later afterwards, I said, hey, no, I took advice. I think I must wait until 2 years is over. But fast forward to that. A kidnapping case is reported of Kwatuguza. And a Muslim guy is kidnapped from the mosque, and it disappears, and nobody traces him. They don't know where he's whereabouts. Such cases are handled by DPCI. So DPCI is involved. The team of DPCI has some members, technical team from the province, which is TRT, that works with them. And some dog unit members, flying squad, they will form a team. But it is DPCI that deals with it. And these other members will just be in support. So then they say to me that there's an incident that has happened where the family was called, and the ransom demanded, the family was called from a number in South Beach in Durban, next to the beachfront. When the team followed up, they discovered that a person bought airtime and loaded it on the phone and made a phone call. And they could identify the person that went to buy airtime on cameras, and they followed that person. And the person said, the person who gave me asked me to go and buy airtime, gave me 50 rands as a payment. So the person was paid 50 rand to go and buy airtime from the tuck shop and give it to this person. And this person was sitting in the car, and the car was parked in this place. So the team followed that car. They discovered that it's a bakkie, a white bakkie with no number plate. So they started following the movement of that car through cameras in the assistance of security companies in KZN, because they're very good with these cameras they put out there. They have the team to trace the movements of this car. So until the car disappeared in the area of Mayville, Katomeno side, they couldn't locate it. So then they went back to check all the other cameras in Durban to look for this car, if there's somewhere the car was picked up early in the day or afterwards. So they picked up the car, stopped at the shop somewhere. And this individual got out of the car, they entered that shop. So they went to that shop and they downloaded the footage, and they identified 2 gentlemen in that footage that came from the bakkie. And one of the people they identified was Mr. Nangi, which was well known from the police as one of the high-profile wanted person on kidnapping in Mozambique. So that's immediately the team knew that means it's Nangi that is behind the kidnapping. And Nangi lives in Gauteng. So they went to trace the movement of the car at Marankin tollgate and all the other tollgates on the entry. They discovered that indeed this car had drove past there. And Nangi was driving, and he would be one passing the tollgate and paying. And they were easily, because I would ask them, why you say you identify that it's Nangi? So he's got a funny eye. I don't know how his eye is like, but that's what draws attention on the team. So the team then moved to Gauteng. From what they are briefing me, they're updating me, but it's not my case. They arrive in Gauteng, they trace this information in Gauteng, they found Nangi, and they downloaded, took his phone, and they opened his phone. In his phone, they found, which was a shocking thing, a person whom yesterday Sergeant Kosi presented before the Madlanga Commission to be known as an expert in kidnappings. Nkosi spoke about him yesterday. They found a communication between Nangi and this gentleman. And in actual fact, money transfers between Nangi and this gentleman, 300, 200,000 rand, a lot of money. And to the team, they were shocked and said, but the person is known as a private investigator dealing with kidnappings. How does he have a relationship with Nangi, who's known to be a kingpin in kidnapping? It could be that the person who's a private investigator is linked to Nangi. Because if you go back, honorable chair members, and check, majority, 90% of the time, well, this is a 90% I can talk about, maybe not the one of Jara Kumalo that you were fighting with them about. Majority of the people that are kidnapped are Muslim people. Majority of them, because they've got cash in their shops. And almost 100%, majority of the time, more than 90% of the time, there's a lump sum paid before they are released. And the person who's part of the negotiation is so-called expert investigator, private investigator, will always encourage the family to pay a certain amount. Not the full 20 million rands they're looking for, maybe half of it, but there's always payment. So here's this person who's known to be the lead expert in kidnapping, is exchanging money with Nangi. The team got worried and they said, it means we have an enemy within, because this gentleman is this tight with the General Khan and the team that deals with kidnapping. Is this tight with Jarasmia, who's in charge of the investigation in the police? This gentleman. I'm talking about the private person. So the team picks that one up and say, this is something not right, it doesn't add up here. As they were interrogating, I don't know the how part, they discovered that the kidnapped individual is kept in a house in Mpumalanga. They traveled to Mpumalanga. They arrived in Mpumalanga in a particular house, and there was no one there. And when they engaged with the community around, the community said, we've been suspecting something dodgy happening in this house. But before you arrive, there were a lot of movement, cars that drove out with speed, and they left the place. And the owner of the house is the sergeant, the police sergeant. And this police sergeant stays in another house somewhere. And they directed the police to the next house. So the police moved with speed because they're looking for a kidnapped person. They went to the next house. When they arrived in the next house, they were told, this gentleman has gone to Mozambique. He has crossed with the person that's kidnapped to Mozambique. And the team then engaged with the people in Mozambique and say, looks like there's someone there in Mozambique that has crossed with the person that is kidnapped. So, and I heard there was a talk of, when you were sitting here, I was talking about the video that was available. There is a video available of a shop close by that shows police cars coming to the property and the police cars leaving the property. And later, the community is all over the place there. And later, the house is on fire. And the medical people come in to attend to that house. The video is there. Yeah, they're not just property. The house that was identified initially as a place where this one was kept. So his story on a confession that Molotra made when the police got him confirms this arrangement with Nangi. But Molotra then is found, eventually is brought back into South Africa. The How Party, remember, I'm not involved in this. And is taken with Nangi and everyone else. The team transport them to Devon for the case at Kwatuguze. But what I don't know what happened in that case, because the DPP contacted me and said, this team that was investigating this case, they messed up this case. And the DPP wrote a complaint via the NDPP to DPCI for disciplinary steps to be instituted against these members that were working on this investigation. So that's how the case was withdrawn from court. And this Nangi and this Molotra guy left. They were released because of that. So that's how the Nangi story comes about. Well, obviously, internal, the organization will have investigated.
Just the pause there, General. The Nangi story, you can deal with it maybe a little later. That's not gone yet because there's now...
It's gone. It's coming back into why Snona.
Yeah,
we end up talking to CAT
about
it. So remember, it said CAT, Snona talked about CAT when Snona wanted to resign, to join CAT. Then subsequently, there's this incident of kidnapping. There's the incident of a case not being finalized that involved Mlodra. And eventually, after they are released, there's a case open in Johannesburg by Nangi and Mlojwa team. They open a case of stealing of Rolex watches and many other torture, amongst others, many other things. It's registered in Joburg. I have no clue because I'm not part of it. Sinona comes to me and he says to me, General, there's a case open against my team. Remember, it's his team. It is DPCI's team. He said, there's a case open in Joburg against my team. And the case is opened by Nangi and the people that are with him. And I took note. I said, oh, well, what is the case about? He said, no, torture and all those things. And I said, but was he tortured? Were they tortured, these people? And he said to me, no, they were tortured in Mozambique. This guy, when he was arrested in Mozambique, was tortured and so forth. But Sinona sounded like he was not even part of the team. When the team was doing all this movement, he was not there. But I know today he's also facing a disciplinary case. I don't know why is he facing a disciplinary case, but I'm not part of it. But he tells me this thing. He said, there's a case open in Joburg. Unfortunately, you, mkhwanazi, you are one of the accused in that case. So I asked him, why am I accused on a case that I don't know? He said, no, they're alleging that you were part of this. So I just laughed it off. I said, it's one of many other cases that will be thrown on me. Maybe someone influenced that. I'm not going, well, I guess if it's there involving the police, IPT will investigate like many other cases. So we end there with Sinona. Few weeks later, Sinona speaks to me again, face to face, and he says to me, General, I found someone to help withdraw that case against my team. So then I asked, but when you say you found someone to help withdraw the case, how is this person withdrawing the case? He said, no, this person spoke to one of the complainants. So I asked, who is this person? And he said, CAT Matlala. Now I already know the name CAT. And I said, but okay, well, you said you found him. How did you find him? So now I was with him in Gauteng. And I told him that there is a Nangi guy that is opening a case against my team. And CAT took the phone, he called Nangi. This is what Sinona tells me. That CAT took the phone and he calls Nangi. And he told Nangi that, hey, don't get involved in this case. Why did you open a case? And Nangi said to him, it's Jarras Beer that influenced him to open a case. But otherwise, he's no longer going to participate. Now, IPT must come and explain. Since the case was registered, a year later, nobody's ever come to me. What is happening on that case? Could it be that the main complainant on the case did not want to cooperate anymore with the investigation? If that's the case, he's going to check out on what Sinona told me that he was told by CAT. Because that means CAT influenced that Nangi not to participate in the case at the time. I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect Nangi is the main complainant. Perhaps that's why Mlota was brought by Adams here to become a complainant on a similar case here in Cape Town. But I'm not on that. I'm just saying that's how the Nangi name came into the picture. It is CAT that tells, it is Sinona that talks to CAT about Nangi to drop the charge. So that's what got me more interested to ask more about the relationship between Sinona and this CAT guy. So when I asked him, I said, but you wanted to resign to join his company, and now we are telling me that he's helping you to stop the investigation. How do you know this guy? Then Sinona says, we grew up together. We were playing soccer together. Then I remember I said, but you said CAT stays in Mamelodi and you are from Soshanguve. How did you grow up together? This township are far apart. He said, no, we're playing soccer together. That's how we know each other. Remember the time, I don't know the age of CAT. I don't even know how old he is. He's just telling me about they grew up together and that's how they got to know each other. So I had no reason not to believe him. So I said, so he's your brother, né? Is that close to you? He said, no, he's my brother. Then I started saying to him, but there's investigation happening in Gauteng where this CAT is got issues that are questionable about him. So you sure you're not part of the wrong? He said, no. CAT is, I know him as a clean guy, he's my brother. Even if you check the phone communication between me and him, we are brothers. So I had no reason not to believe the head of the Hawks in KZN when he tells me this, that CAT is just a brother. I finished the conversation, I talked to Kumala, I said, Sinona has this close relationship with CAT. Maybe when we check the downloads of CAT, we must run the Sinona's phone and see if there's any communication between them. So that's how the extract of the communication and the relationship between CAT and Sinona was discovered, because it's Sinona that disclosed the relationship between him and CAT. Fast forward from there, Snona comes to me and he says, hey, you remember the guy I told you about, CAT Matlala? I said, yeah. He said, that guy's got a contract in the police of health contract. But he's struggling because police are not placing orders. Now he wants to reach out to talk to the end user, which is Nhlanhla. And when they establish the people that can link him with Nhlanhla, they discover that you're the one of our entire management of the SAPS, you're the one that is closest to Nhlanhla. Can you arrange a meeting? So now I said to Snona, but why must I arrange a meeting for CAT Matlala and Nhlanhla? For what reason? And he says, no, but looks like CAT has an information that can assist Khumalo and the team with their investigation in Gauteng. So that what drew my attention, and I said, but he's got information. What information? He said, no, the role let's be a place in this whole criminality happening in Gauteng. So that got me excited. And I said, okay, well, we'll confirm the meeting. From there, I then contacted Jara Khumalo. I said, Jara Khumalo, this is what I'm aware of. Must we have this meeting? So we agreed, no, let's have the meeting. But let's control the venue where the meeting is. And let's wire the place so that you can record everything happening in the meeting. Hence the flat. That we have to discard, get a flat, a place where we can go in, nobody can trace us. Anything happening there can be on record. I was hoping the day that CAT is going to say he gave me money, because I was going to come and show you that there was never anything handed. I'm glad he didn't, because there was nothing. So the meeting then is arranged, and I go back to Snona and I said, tell him to come. Then Jara Snona invite him to come. And I said to Snona, I know this guy moves around with bodyguards. When he comes to see me, he must be alone and you, just the two of you, nobody else. So you're going to pick him up, or you pick him up, you're going to bring him to me. Then he said, okay, we're going to meet at Nhlanhla. The meeting is going to be around Nhlanhla. They met at the hotel. Mr. Adams is not here. I'm sure he's watching at home. Oyster Box. Oyster Box is a very expensive hotel in Durban. That is where they met, CAT and Snona. Whether inside the hotel or at the parking, I was not there, but they met at the hotel. Because after that, Snona, first time I saw Snona driving a Polo car. You know, this one is driven by these Uber boys, the small car, VW. Snona was driving that car. He called me, he said, I'm with CAT. We're driving this Polo. We are getting out of Oyster Box. So I said, okay, come up because I'm in the vicinity. He gave me a description of the car. I spotted the car. Then I said, okay, I see I'm driving this car in front of you, the Mercedes-Benz. Can you see it? He said, yeah, no, we can see it. I said, okay, follow me. So I drove them down towards Pavilion, not Beverly Hills Hotel, around into Pels. There's a parking at the bottom there for those that know Nhlanhla, towards the beach. So we enter in there, into the boom gate. I show my face, the boom gate opens. I go in, I tell the security to open for him. They open for them, and they followed me. Some 50 meters, we park, we walk, we get out of the cars, we walk into the lift, into your apartment. Honorable Chair, that apartment from where we're seated in a three-seater dining room table, a glass table, can only sit 3 people. Where I'm sitting, at least a meter, is the wall. Behind me, a meter, it's another wall. On this side, it's a lounge that will be at least maybe about where Honorable Skosana is seated. That's where the TV is. And on that corner, on that side, which is a good 4 meters or so, is an entrance into the apartment. And on my right, open plan, Honorable Chair, up to where the podium is, which roughly about 4 meters or so, is the sink at the end of the kitchen. So for Snona to say he was busy drinking somewhere, he couldn't hear anything. When we are here, you're talking, a person on TV, a person here can hear everything. It's just the 3 of us, nobody else there. So we said, we spoke. That's when he then gave me this information. The information is about Steve Mutsume. Steve Mutsume is a name that the 68 million people, excluding the independent podcasters, they are the ones that got guts to talk about Steve Mutsume. The rest of media houses in South Africa don't want to research about that person. It's a name that has came out so many times, Steve Mutsume. He told me about Steve Mutsumi. He gave me the address of the house of Steve Mutsumi. He told me about activities of Spear, how the Spear is collecting money. He told me about the property of Spear that I didn't know. He gave me the address. He told me about the impalas he bought for Spear. This is all coming from CAT voluntarily. I don't have a clue about all these things. The properties in a townhouse in Sentin. So I take note of all these things. And then he asked one thing, but the other one was just a comment which we couldn't do much about it. The first one was, I've got this contract. I've got so many people that I should be paying that I haven't paid, but the police not placing an order. Can you get Gerald Nhlanhla to meet up with me so we can discuss and get to hear what is the issue? Then I said, well, I'll talk to Gerald Nhlanhla, but I don't know anything about the contract, but I'll talk to her. The feedback will come to Snon. That is one. Two, what is the next thing? The next thing is that I hear that there's investigation in Gauteng on an attempted murder of his ex-girlfriend. What is happening on that? I said, no, don't ask me that question. I'm not in Gauteng, I'm here. I can't even answer any question. If you have issues with it, Gerald Snona as your brother must talk to Gerald Khumalo and establish what is the issue there. That's how the meeting ended. We left. After leaving, I pick up the phone, I call Gerald Khumalo. I said, Gerald Khumalo, this is information. Here's the address of Mr. Mutsumi. Mr. Mutsumi has got a house, standalone house somewhere in Sentin. I just don't know the address now with which I can say, but from the American High Commission in Sentin, for those that know Sentin, if we drive down towards the western side, but we go down the road, Steve Mutsume's house is there, the one that he alleges to be Steve Mutsume's, a very big house, is there, because I saw it on Google. He came me, he said, that's a house where Spear collects money. Because I was not satisfied with the information about Spear, he says Spear collects money there, but using the police vehicle and the police driver. And mine to him was, Spear cannot be arrested then, because when you arrest him, he's going to say the money belongs to a driver, not to him. But if he uses a police car to go there, we'll be able to get that on investigation. We need more information about Spear. He said, no, he paid 2 million rand towards his plot. He bought him impalas. All the impala stories came with me, but nobody asked, how do I come up with impala story? It's because of that meeting. When I spoke about these impalas, I just did not elaborate where I got the stories of the impalas in details. But the impalas come with CAT. The townhouse. CAT says he didn't even know about the townhouse himself. But another foreigner told him about the townhouse. He went to see the townhouse. He saw Spear's cars there. He confirmed, but CAT did not know about the townhouse. So he told me all these stories about Spear, Steve Mutsumi, and that fact that Steve Mutsumi's property is at Waterfall Estate in Midrand. I've never been to Waterfall Estate.
Can we
Me-
hear Honorable Sangwan?
Thank you, Chair. No, I just wanted us to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Adams. I think Honorable Adams left the TV so he could be here himself. Thank you, Chair.
General mkhwanazi,
Yes, sir.
behind Honorable Skosana. Behind Honorable Skosana is seated Honorable Adams.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. At least I see him now. I can talk directly.
I was going to ask a question. Mr. Mutsumi, is he also alleged to be one of the big five?
I had said, Honorable Chair, with respect, Councillor, as a legal person, you'll know that we cannot, as police, pronounce of people that are not before court. But it's a character that the police officers are afraid to even call his name. It's a character that even the judge at the Nhlanhla Commission was concerned about the police being so afraid. It's a person that I spoke this morning to Sergeant Kosi, who was sending the communication between me and him to the very same person. So Steve Mutsumi is such a character. I'll leave it there. I don't want to go into details. You can read between the lines.
Yeah. Now,